Hi, friends. This is Dr. Bill Payne from First Methodist Church in Live Oak. In 2005, Mel Gibson was arrested for a DUI. While he was in custody, he made some bizarre statements. One of them was that the Jews were responsible for all the evils of the world, for all the wars of the world. His anti-Semitism was over the top. And there were other examples of this in his life, too. What made it so sad was in 2004, he had produced The Passion of Christ, a wonderful story that depicted Jesus as a real Jew. Yet underneath was this simmering hatred of Jews. After his unfortunate comments, Mel Gibson was blackballed and was not able to work in Hollywood for a while. And of course, there are a lot of Jews working in Hollywood, and it's probably not good for your business or reputation to attack Jews in Hollywood or any place. Anti-Semitism is awful. Today, we see that anti-Semitism has come back and it's really virulent, especially in Europe today. And in any case, the Bible teaches us that God lifts up the humble. He loves the humble, the contrite, and the pure, but he puts down the arrogant and the proud. James 4 and Peter and the Psalms make this very, very clear. God lifts up the humble and he puts down the proud. This is a spiritual truth. In Daniel chapter 4, Nebuchadnezzar has a dream about this great tree and all the beauty of this tree and the animals in this tree and everything else. And eventually the tree is chopped down to the just the stump, and there's something put on the stump to keep it, and whatever else goes on with that. And he's very distressed, and he says, "What does this mean?" And Daniel comes and says, "Hey, Nebuchadnezzar, you are that great tree. You are this wonderful, glorious kingdom over Babylon, and God has given you this, and God has given you that. But you're arrogant, and God doesn't like your arrogance. And at some point, He's going to chop you down. He's going to take this all away from you until you learn the lesson of humility." Well, Nebuchadnezzar kind of ignored what Daniel said, even though he had interpreted the dream. Later on, he is looking at everything and he's just beginning to praise himself, praise all of his greatness and everything else. And immediately, God comes and speaks to him through a watcher, an angel, and it happens. He's driven away from his throne and everything else. He's living out in the woods almost like a vagabond or a homeless person until he learns the lesson of humility. And afterwards, God restores him to his place as the emperor, the king, the leader of Babylon. The lesson is very clear. God doesn't want us to be arrogant. God really desires for us to be humble. And in fact, this is a spiritual fruit, seeking after humility with God, not seeking greatness, but seeking God, seeking to live in God's hand, to understand that God is the master of our lives and that our greatest purpose is not to bring honor to ourselves, not to live for our own glory, not to seek our own advantage, but rather to love God with all of our heart, mind, soul, and strength, and our neighbor as ourselves, to understand God's principles rather than human principles of arrogance. You see, Satan, they say, fell because he was arrogant. He was prideful. The first sin was pride, and it led to a lot of problems. Guard yourself, my friends, and don't let pride enter into your life. Bless you and keep you in Jesus' name.